Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our English lesson. Today we're going to continue with the theme of character description. So the ally today will be to identify and understand the features of a text. Now, most importantly, are you ready to start the lesson? So please have with you a pencil or a pen and a paper, and you are in charge of the pause button. You may need to use it more often today. Our quiz to begin with is reviewing some important language features. Right, contractions. Let's have a look at the first question. We should not be late to the party. If we use an apostrophe and change should not to shouldn't, how do you spell it? Is it A, B, C, or D? So should not will change to shouldn't. The apostrophe shows where a letter has been missed out. Number 2, she is not listening to the directions. The contraction that we want is isn't. Remember, if we use a contraction, we shorten the word is not to isn't. How do you spell isn't? Is it A, B, C, or D? And number 3, I would not call out if I was you. How do you change would not to its contraction form? Remember, the apostrophe is used to show, in this case, a letter is missing. So do you spell would not as A to change it to wouldn't, or B, or C, or D? Right, I'll count to 5 and then we're going to mark these now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, contractions. Should not, should be, change to shouldn't, which is the letter C. So the apostrophe goes between the letter N and the letter T. Number 2, she is not listening to the directions. Is not changes to D and becomes isn't, and the apostrophe takes the place of the O because it is now missing, and it goes between the N and the T. And number 3, I would not, wouldn't changes to, would not changes to wouldn't, and you would need to select A. And the apostrophe goes between the letter N and T to show the letter O is missing. Right, possessive nouns. It's just another recap. Change the leg of the table to possessive form. Is it number 1, the table's leg, or number 2, the table's leg? Make your choice. Is it 1 or 2? And the second one, change, that word should have a letter E at the end, the laughs of the child to possessive form. So is it number 1, the children's laughs, number 2, the child's laugh, or number 3, the child's laugh? So which one is it? Is it 1, 2, or 3? Remember, the apostrophe shows who the item belongs to. So the leg of the table changes to the table's leg. So the leg belongs to the table. You should have chosen number 1. And the second one, the possessive form should be number 2, because the laugh belongs to the child. So it becomes the child's laugh, and the apostrophe goes between the letter D and S to show possession. Right, conjunctions. Now conjunctions should be familiar with. We've done quite a bit of work on this in the autumn and part of the spring term. So they link or connect clauses or sentences. So make your selection. Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? The bus stopped. The man got off. Choose the conjunction. Is it and? Number 1, 2, but, 3, or 4, so. Going to number 3. I wanted to buy a newspaper, didn't have enough money. Is it 1 and, 2 but, 3 or 4 so? Finally, I have a lot of homework to do now. I can't go to the cinema with you. Is it number 1 and, number 2 but, number 3 or, number 4 so? So have you selected your conjunctions? So let's look at the first one. The bus stopped, and it should be and. So number 1, and the man got off. So conjunctions join sentences or clauses or parts of a sentence. Number 2, I wanted to buy a newspaper but didn't have enough money. So number 2, but is the conjunction. And number 3, I have a lot of homework to do now. I can't go to the cinema with you. So is the conjunction that you should have chosen. I have a lot of homework to do now, so I can't go to the cinema with you. So conjunctions are done. Fronted adverbials. Now, some people know about fronted adverbials, and they're just words or phrases at the beginning of a sentence used to describe the action that takes place. And normally after a fronted adverbial, as you'll see here, there's a comma. So here we start with in the morning, comma. That is the fronted adverbial, in the morning. The birds began to tweet. So what action follows this? So does the adverbial show where this happened, when this happened, how this happened, or why this happened? So does the adverbial show where this happened, when this happened, how it happened, or why it happened? You can put the word, or you can put 1, 2, 3, or 4. Right, the second adverbial is angrily, comma, the boy stomped up the stairs. Does this adverbial show where it happened, when it happened, how it happened, or why it happened? So you can choose, write the word or choose 1, 2, 3, or 4. And the last fronted adverbial, on the comfy sofa, comma, my gran was sleeping. The adverbial, of course, is on the comfy sofa, comma. It's at the front of the sentence. Does this fronted adverbial show where this happened, when this happened, how this happened, or why this happened? So I'll count to 5, give you a chance to have a think, because these are a bit tougher. We've not really looked at fronted adverbials so far in online learning, so it is a bit more than a recap. So let's do number 1. In the morning. Well, of course, this should be number 2, when. This tells us when this happened. Number 2, angrily, is the fronted adverbial. We have the word angrily, followed always by a comma after a fronted adverbial. So this tells us why. So it should be number 4, why this happened. So the boy stomped up the stairs. Why? Because he was angry. And the last one, on the comfy sofa, comma, that's the fronted adverbial. It tells us where this happened, because this took place on the sofa. So it'd be number 1. Let's move on. So why have we done these right from the beginning? Because we need to use them in today's lesson. But let's first of all remember your target is to write a character description based on your very own superhero. This will begin on Friday. There will be a friendly, adventurous superhero who will embark on a once-in-a-lifetime mission. What will their superpowers be? Who will they help? Will they defeat their evil nemesis? But first we need to look at existing text to investigate what it means to be successful. So you should now know that there have been character descriptions about Spider-Man and character descriptions about Wonder Woman. They all possess different powers, and you've been able to read about those powers that they have. You've also found out about some of their enemies. They are their evil nemesis. So you already know about the enemies because they've been introduced in Monday and Tuesday's lesson. Now it's going to be important that you learn to magpie some of these so that you can use them in your writing. So what are the key features of a character description? We're going to really look very closely, more closely at that today. Right, so our word of the day is notorious. What does notorious mean? In the text it says one of his most notorious enemies being the Green Goblin. If you've not heard of the word notorious before, well, it means to be infamous or famous, I suppose, legendary, someone that we talk about for long periods of time, could be scandalous, whatever that means. So notorious sometimes means that they're not normally very good people. So they could be villains or bad, evil characters in a story. What's the antonym to all of those? Well, the opposite to notorious is unknown, faceless, which means that you don't know them because you don't know their face. Faceless really means without a face. So it means that you would have no image in your mind of the character. Anonymous, a lot of people know that word. If someone's anonymous, you don't know who they are. Right, in another sentence, how can we use the word notorious in another sentence? He was notorious for causing mayhem all over the world. Well, mayhem's not a good word because it's a synonym for chaos or madness or craziness. So a notorious character generally is someone who is less than good. Right, let's move on to the next part. So notorious is the word of the day. Try and use notorious in your writing. It's a good wow word to remember and magpie. Okay, this is your first task of the day. And you may need to use the pause button, but it'll be up to you. In fact, you're going to need a text to read, so you'll have to come back to it. So what do? Select your own word of the day. Fill in the text, so write down where you found it in the text. Then you may want to use Google, find synonyms for your word of the day. Plus, you then need to find the antonyms, the opposites to your word of the day. And finally, put your word of the day into another sentence. So let's move forward because you are definitely going to need a text for that. So, what are the key features of a character description? Well, we are going to find out about that now. And hopefully, you'll be able to use these in your writing. Now, you are able to do something very, very similar with your poetry. We talked about poetic devices, metaphors, similes, alliteration, onomatopoeia and repetition, and you were able to use them in your poetry, that's in your writing. So it did work, and all we're going to do is really do something similar when it comes to writing a narrative or story. So which features can we identify? Well, we're going to really work on that right now. So let's look at a text. As you can see, I've highlighted the words I want to discuss in blue, and I'm going to read them and then explain to you why I've highlighted them. So I'm going to read the first sentence. Spider-Man is a caring and intelligent superhero, comma, but not everybody knows he is the alias of Peter Parker. Can you think as to why I highlighted caring and intelligent in blue? Well, caring and intelligent they are adjectives. They describe the superhero. The superhero is a noun. Adjectives describe a noun. So Spider-Man is caring and intelligent. So that's a key feature of using the language to help you to write. You must learn to describe your character using adjectives. Okay, let's look at the third word, but. But comes after superhero, which has a comma, and but is highlighted because it's a conjunction. It just links a sentence or a clause. So but is a conjunction. We call it a coordinating conjunction. For now, conjunction will do. Let's read the second sentence. After following his uncle's advice, comma, he decided to create his Spider-Man costume to protect his identity and use his powers to fight crimes. But after following his uncle's advice, that is a fronted adverbial. Remember, fronted adverbials, what do? They're words or phrases at the beginning of a sentence used to describe the action that follows. So Peter Parker listened to his uncle. And then what did he do after taking his advice? He created a Spider-Man costume. And is highlighted. I think you'll probably know why, because and is a conjunction. Let's move to the next sentence. Selflessly, comma, he chooses to use his abilities to protect the people of New York from crime and evil. Selflessly, comma, selflessly is an adverb. Sometimes we can tell a word is an adverb simply because it ends in ly. But not all adverbs end in ly. The ones in this text possibly do. So selflessly is an adverb. I'm going to read on. One of his key superpowers is his spider sense because it warns him of impending enemies or danger. Well, because is highlighted. It's joining two parts of a sentence. It's a conjunction. Sometimes we call it a subordinating conjunction because the first part of the sentence would not make sense if we didn't have because in, as it links it with the rest of the sentence or another part of the clause. Let's read the next one. As quick as a flash, comma, he can shoot sticky spiderwebs from his wrist in order to tie up criminals, comma, swing from the towering buildings, comma, or use them as various tools. Well, I think after doing poetic devices, what do we call as quick as a flash? Correct. It's a simile. It's there to show how fast Spider-Man is when he shoots his sticky spiderwebs. And in order to tie up criminals, comma, swing from towering buildings, comma, or use them as various tools, the commas are there because it's making a list of different things. So if you have a list of things, after each phrasal word you need to put a comma. It's a bit like in my bag I put trousers, comma, t-shirts, comma, shirts, comma, towels, comma, and a toothbrush. End of sentence. So if you make a list, you need to use commas. And this is another technique that you could use in your writing. However, the webbing dissolves in an hour, comma. So he has to act quickly and efficiently. What do you think so is? It's joining two parts of the sentence. So we have a clause at the beginning. If we didn't have so there and joined it with the rest, it wouldn't make sense. So is a conjunction. Quickly and efficiently, they both end in ly. What do you think we call those two words? They end in ly. Yes, they are adverbs. Let's move to the next text. Okay, we've got 3 words, 3 parts highlighted. Why did I highlight them? Spider-Man's costume is a lightweight, comma, red and blue full bodysuit that provides protection. Spider-Man's costume. Do you notice that between the N and the S in man there's an apostrophe? In the quiz that we did at the beginning, what do we call it when we put that apostrophe there to show who owns the costume? Correct. It is a possessive apostrophe. So that costume belongs to Spider-Man. Spider-Man's costume. People's surprise. To many people's surprise. Once again, we've got a possessive apostrophe. The surprise belongs to the people. And last of all, but comes after the comma, because we have specific weaknesses, comma, but if he is given. So but joins the sentences or the clauses to make a sentence. But is a conjunction. Okay, here are the key features, and when you get to know these key features, it's important that you remember them and you use them. So in your writing, you can use adjectives or expanded noun phrases. So take a simple sentence. Spider-Man was walking. You could extend that sentence. How was Spider-Man walking? You can describe it and make it more descriptive. Fronted adverbial phrases, if you can remember fronted adverbial phrases like suddenly or all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comma after those of course, they are fronted adverbial phrases. You should be able to use those in your writing. It's all part of features of a character description. Adverbs, we know about those ly words, quickly, slowly, efficiently, suddenly. An apostrophe for possession. If you want to show someone owns something, you need to use an apostrophe. Conjunctions, we've seen those. We have conjunctions, we call them coordinating ones, and, but, yet, so. Everyone I know of can use coordinating conjunctions. And most people can use subordinating conjunctions, because when. Those types of conjunctions. And after doing poetry, I know everyone's capable of identifying similes and inventing or making up their own similes, or magpieing similes, which is going to be really good for your character description writing. And finally, if you have a list of things, then you need to put commas. If you've only got 2 things, then it'll be like shirt and pajamas. You don't need commas. But if you had shirt, trousers, soap, and toothbrush, then you definitely need commas between all of those nouns that I mentioned. Okay, so those are skills that you need to develop for your writing. So let's have a look at the text. Now this is a recap on Monday and Tuesday. It's about Spider-Man. And once again, you use the text to help you. So it's called retrieving factual information. So use the text to verify your answers. I'm going to move along because I've done a lot of talking. So if you read those, checking the text. Remember, always refer to the text. Think about reading the question more than once. Scan or skim for words. Know what the key word is in the sentence. Again, to move along. Right, key features of a text. I'm going to read this one because it's to do with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is a compassionate, competitive superheroine, but many people do not know that her real name is Diana. Daughter of the Greek god Zeus, Wonder Woman is known as the amazing Amazon angel. As a member of the Justice League, she defends peace and equality. She has superior strength and superhuman agility. So number one, find and copy an expanded noun phrase in the first sentence. So remember, expanded noun phrase. So there's got to be a noun in there. What else do you need to go with the noun? Let's look at question number 2 and 3. In addition to this, she uses her incredible invisible plane to propel, like a rocket, into outer space. Wonder Woman's costume is red and blue, with stars on, as it was inspired by the American flag. Her powerful golden lasso is her primary tool because it forces her enemies to tell the truth. Well, number 2, in addition to this, is an example of what feature? Expanded noun phrase, fronted adverbial, or simile. Choose one of those. And number 3, find and copy the simile in the passage above. Well, you'll be experts at spotting or identifying, recognizing similes, so that should be very straightforward. I'm going to move on. Press the pause button if you need to. Okay, we have another text here. On her wrists, she has metal indestructible bracelets so she can deflect any bullets or weapons. To many people's surprise, she is trained in mastery hand-to-hand combat, yet she prefers to avoid conflict and battles. Unfortunately, Wonder Woman would lose all her powers if her bracelets were ever tied together. Wonder Woman has faced a number of enemies over the years. Some of her evil enemies are Greek gods, while others are those who want to hurt and destroy the environment. So number 4, the apostrophe in the phrase. Too many people's surprises is used to show what? Contraction, possession, coordination, or subordination. So apostrophes, you should know about that by now. And the last one, number 5, the word so in the text above is an example of which feature? Is it contraction, coordinating conjunction, or subordinating conjunction? And that is all we have for today. There's quite a bit for you to do. You would have had to use the pause button. So when you complete your work, I look forward to reading it. Thank you very much to everyone who's been submitting their work, emailing it in. It's wonderful to see. And of course, I can see people, as from last week, they really came on big time when it came to using poetic devices. So alliteration, repetition, onomatopoeia, similes and metaphors for so many people became very straightforward. They could actually use it in their own writing or poetry. Right, speak to you soon. Have an enjoyable day. Take care. Bye for now.